And welcome back to the Confidence Covered by Humility podcast. I'm your host and your business and leadership coach, James Mayhew. And I just wanted to start out by saying a huge thank you for your comments and your likes and your shares and your subscribes. It just means so much to me that you would do that. Now, today is another short. I'm in this series of doing shorts here. And a few weeks ago, I was at a new client, actually. This is the first time I was with them, a company that's been around for multiple generations and really doing some cool things in their industry. And what I want to talk to you today about is an experience from there. And I'm just going to frame it up with this sentence here: set the table for success. So like I said, a few weeks ago, I was invited to speak to a group of leaders at this company. And because it was the first time I was with them, I always like them to get an experience. What is it like to work with me? I want, to do well. I want to set the table in a way where they're clear about why are we here today? What are we going to do? What is it, how is that work going to look? And what are we going to do afterwards? And I just feel like that is the recipe for an effective training session. So after I did this brief introduction of myself, which I probably pretty poor at those, but I keep it pretty short. And basically, I just tell them, hey, this is what you should expect today over these next 3 hours. The goals for the day are these. Number one, I want you to be able to understand the purpose behind and the best usage of your core values. Number two, we are going to discover some communication gaps, but that's also going to show us some opportunities where we're going to learn how to coach and mentor through your core values to close those communication gaps. Now, the third goal that I have for you today is that we're going to identify ways to utilize your core values in key areas, like how you develop individuals on your team, how you can evaluate someone's progress through core values, and overall, we're going to strengthen everything that's already good here by going through this. Now, I believe that this setting the table is a crucial step to do because it establishes the value for their time and their monetary investment. I don't know if they've had good trainers in the past. I assume they do or have had. I want to make sure that when they think back to my time with them, that I've done a good job for them. It also provides accountability, both to them, the people that invited me, and it also provides that accountability for me. When I say, hey, these are the things that we're going to do, well, that keeps us focused. It keeps us on track. Now, there's another thing that I do. There's a few other things that I do just in the introduction part. In this introduction, it might take a while to get through this, but I also want them to know that it's going to be interactive. And so I joke with them and I say, okay, here's your 2-minute warning. You're not going to sit on your hands today, and you are going to be participating. That's what brings the highest quality to this type of training, is when you are engaged in it and you are sharing your thoughts. And then I offer one final discussion point, which is this. It's just a reminder. You get out of this what you put into it. And here's why I need to say that. Oftentimes when we come in to do a training, there are a lot of distractions that we have to deal with, right? There's a phone call, there's an urgent email, there's a fire that needs to put out. And so I always just tell them, like, hey, we're adults here. So, to keep your phone silenced and all those, but if you need to respond to something, get up and take care of it. But at the same time, I also want them to know that, put effort into this. Be engaged, be involved in what's going on, and don't daydream or don't be worrying about the thing that you think is really important, because what we're doing here is actually really important too. And then I also do one final thing to set up what I feel is a great way to set the table. I say, listen, when we're in a room like this, there are going to be ideas. There are going to be light bulb moments that you have. There's going to be hundreds of them, if not more, okay? You start to think about it. You got a room of 20 people. We're in there for 3 hours. We cover a lot of stuff. There's a lot of those special little moments that happen. So I tell them, during a meeting like this, when they happen, if you don't write them down, if you don't discuss them, either, when we do it like a small group or bring it to the large group, there is a really good chance, pretty much a 100% chance, I would say, that they're going to fade away. They're just going to vaporize when that meeting ends. You had good intention. You were going to remember them, but they don't. That doesn't happen. So leaders, managers, supervisors, if you're listening to this right now, just don't miss what I'm talking about. Make sure you set the table with your teams. You want to prepare their minds. You want to prepare their hearts also for the purpose behind the trainings. Meetings are really an essential part of your business, but meetings should never suck, okay? Meetings shouldn't suck. You should take ownership to deliver a great experience, even when it feels like it's a staff meeting or a recurring meeting. That's how they don't feel recurring or like we just got to show up again. So set the table, explain the purpose, let them know what's at stake, and always, always have actionable takeaways, even when it's an informational meeting. They're going to come up. Now, one of the ways, I'm going to give you 4 steps actually here to ensure that those things happen. So here's step 1. Just before the meeting is over, you got to save time for this. I do this in my trainings. I go around the room and we ask each person for their biggest takeaway. And it doesn't have to be the biggest. It's just like, what's a takeaway from today that landed on you that was important? What that does is it creates momentum and it reminds people of things that they might have missed. Step number 2, give them time to write down things that they want to implement. We actually carve that out. We say, okay, take a few minutes right now. Go look back through your notes. What are the things that hit you today that you want to implement and see through that happens after today? Because when I'm gone, we have to make sure that these things get done, which rolls into then step number 3. And maybe you want to do this one sooner. It doesn't have to be in this exact order, by the way. But you also want to remind them of where we've come from through the day. I find tremendous value in reminding people of where did we start today? What did we do? So we have now context of, okay, we're seeing the world a little different. As a result, when we remind them of that, it makes those ideas start to come back together. So maybe you want to do that at step 1. That's cool. Reorder it if you want. Step number 4, give them what the next steps are to ensure that the techniques and methods will be implemented. In other words, if the person who's invited me in to do a training has not done that part, I'm going to make sure that I do that. But what will happen oftentimes is I'll get to a statement like that and they'll say, hey, James, we've got this. And I say, great, take over. And they walk them through the accountability and ownership piece of that. All of this sets up a great training or it sets up a great meeting. And the point of this is that you set the table for success. I'm James Mayhew, and I work with companies of all sizes, small, medium, and large, to do this. We ensure that they have amazing and talented people doing exceptional work on the most important things. All right, we'll catch you again on the next episode of Confidence Covered by Humility.